Hello, what address do you need the police?
This is Dr. Chris Webster calling from Leongatha Hospital, and I have a concern regarding a patient that presented here earlier but has left the building and is potentially exposed to a fatal toxin from mushroom poisoning.
This call quietly set off one of Australia's most haunting murder cases. The patient on the other end? Erin Patterson, 49, a mother of two. She's now known across the country as the Mushroom Killer, after serving a fatal homemade lunch that left 3 of her estranged husband's family members dead, and one barely survived. 2 years later, in July 2025, Erin was charged with triple murder. But to understand how it got there, we need to go back to where it all began. It began with an invitation. About 2 weeks before the fatal meal, on Sunday, July 16, 2023, Erin invited her ex-husband Simon, his parents, Don and Gail Patterson, as well as Gail's sister, Heather Wilkinson, and Heather's husband, Pastor Ian Wilkinson, to her home in Leongatha for a special lunch to discuss a medical issue. Simon initially agreed to attend, but then canceled the night before. He texted, "Sorry, I feel too uncomfortable about coming to the lunch," and Erin replied,
That's really disappointing. I've spent many hours this week preparing lunch for tomorrow, which has been exhausting in light of the issues I'm facing, and spent a small fortune on beef eye fillet to make Beef Wellingtons because I wanted it to be a special meal, as I may not be able to host a lunch like this again for some time.
On the day of the meal, Erin's kids went to the cinema. Erin handled all the food preparation and serving herself. She didn't allow the guests into the kitchen or pantry, which some found odd. While the guests were served on large gray plates, Erin used a smaller and lighter one, orange or brown, according to Ian's later testimony. Before the meal, Erin said that she was dealing with a cancer and everyone prayed for her. That evening, hours after the lunch, the four began feeling unwell, first with nausea, then intense vomiting, and severe stomach pain. They were rushed to the hospital. At first, doctors suspected a common stomach bug, but their symptoms were too extreme and progressing far too fast. Within 24 hours, all four were in intensive care, their livers beginning to fail. Within days, Don, Gail, and Heather all passed away. Only Ian Wilkinson survived, but barely. He required a liver transplant to stay alive. Meanwhile, the next day, she presented to hospital pretending illness, claiming she had stomach cramps and was feeling faint. But before doctors could run any proper tests, Erin left. Her sudden early exit worried the medical team. One doctor, Dr. Chris Webster, was concerned enough to call the police.
Hello, what address do you need the police?
This is Dr. Chris Webster calling from Leongatha Hospital, and I have a concern regarding a patient that presented here earlier but has left the building and is potentially exposed to a fatal toxin from mushroom poisoning. And I've tried several times to get hold of her on her mobile phone.
So, before I get all that information in, what address do you need the police to attend, Dr. Chris?
Yeah, should I give the hospital address or the address of the patient?
If you know where they are, their address.
I have the address of the patient.
Yeah, go ahead with that. When did she present at hospital?
At 8:05
today.
Yeah.
Mushroom poisoning, you said.
Yeah, so there were 5 people that ate a meal on Saturday, and 2 of them are in intensive care at Dandenong Hospital. 2 have just been transferred from Leongatha Hospital to Dandenong Hospital, and Erin presented this morning with symptoms of poisoning.
When she presented, she just got up and left?
No, there was time for the nurse to begin observations, and I was managing the other critically unwell patient, so I had a brief chat to her about where the mushrooms were obtained, and after that, while I was attending the other patients, the nurse informed me that she had discharged herself against medical advice.
Eventually, she returned to the hospital. She told doctors her kids also ate the Beef Wellington leftovers, but she didn't want to take her kids along. The police then went to Erin's home to get the leftover meal from the bin. As doctors scrambled to save lives and toxicologists searched for answers, a chilling possibility began to surface: death cap mushrooms. The symptoms matched amanitin poisoning, a deadly toxin found in these mushrooms. Erin claimed she only used white button mushrooms from the supermarket and some dried ones she had stored for months. She denied ever buying death caps or knowing what they looked like. But 3 days after the lunch, Erin was caught on CCTV doing something strange. She was at the local waste facility, dumping a food dehydrator.
It showed a four-wheel drive arrive at the tip. The female driver walks into a shed with the item and emerges empty-handed. It kind of looked like a microwave/dehydrator, Mr. Canty told the court.
When questioned, Erin admitted the device was used to dry mushrooms, but she claimed it wasn't hers. It belonged to Simon. She said she threw it out because it smelled bad, and she didn't want her kids to see it and be upset. Police retrieved the dehydrator from the tip. It was scorched, and inside, forensic tests found traces of amanitin, the same deadly toxin found in death caps. That discovery changed everything. No longer just a grieving hostess, Erin Patterson was now the focus of a growing homicide investigation. And investigators were just getting started. And soon, they'd uncover something Erin had tried to make disappear. Detectives obtained a warrant to search her home. They seized her phone, laptop, and hard drives. But what they initially found was nothing. Her phone had been factory reset. Not once, not twice, but 4 times, all on the same day she dumped the food dehydrator. She called it a glitch, said the phone had been acting strange, and the second phone, believed to be used during the time of the lunch, it was never recovered. Erin was seen using a pink Samsung phone during her hospital visit after lunch, but later, when police searched her home, she hid that phone and handed a different phone to police. Forensic teams dug deeper. Using deleted data recovery tools, they managed to pull fragments from her online search history. Erin's computer-accessed pages on the citizen science site, iNaturalist in May 2022, showing documented sightings of deadly death cap mushrooms in Victoria. Prosecutors argued that linked visits suggested she researched where to find the toxin months before preparing the fatal Beef Wellington in July 2023. On Erin's tablet, police later found images showing death cap mushrooms on a scale. The photos of her weighing what could be death cap mushrooms possibly used for the lunch. Is it the way she was calculating the dose? Enough to kill others, but not herself? When viewed in the context of what happened, all of these painted a picture that felt less like panic and more like preparation. But the most damning clue wasn't digital at all. Buried in Erin's past was something else, a strange, easily overlooked event from 1 year earlier that suddenly took on new meaning, in hindsight. A year before the fatal lunch, Simon Patterson, Erin's ex-husband, had been rushed to the hospital. He had collapsed unexpectedly at home, suffering what doctors called a mystery illness. He was violently ill. His liver function was compromised. At the time, no clear cause was found. Simon later revealed in a social media post that he had nearly died, spending 16 days in hospital, including 21 hours in intensive care, and had to be resuscitated multiple times. Back then, it was seen as a medical anomaly, but after the deaths of Dawn, Gail, and Heather, that strange illness suddenly didn't seem so random. Investigators began to suspect that what happened to Simon may have been a test run, a trial attempt that didn't work. Until it did. Around the same time, Erin's relationship with her former in-laws began to deteriorate. Messages presented in court revealed long-simmering tensions over child support, school fees, and parenting responsibilities. Simon had only been ordered to pay $38 a month, far too little to share the financial burden. Erin repeatedly complained that Simon and his parents avoided confrontation and refused to offer support. She even recalled Don Patterson once suggesting she withdraw the support claim if she wanted things to go smoothly, a suggestion that, in her words, made her explode with anger. Erin also told friends she wanted to cut ties completely with the Patterson family, accusing them of staying silent, avoiding conflict, and abandoning their grandchildren. These tensions, combined with the fact that Erin had placed Simon's name on property titles and lent large sums of money to his 3 siblings after the divorce, only deepened her sense of injustice. The prosecution wasn't required to prove motive, but when you piece it all together, the failed poisoning of Simon, the ongoing family conflicts, and the signs of calculated preparation, it all starts to look less like an accident and more like a plan. On November 2, 2023, Erin Patterson was arrested and charged with 3 counts of murder and 1 count of attempted murder. She was denied bail and remanded in custody. In May 2025, the trial began. No cameras, just transcripts and daily courtroom sketches. The defense insisted it was nothing more than a tragic accident. No confession, no direct evidence of intent. Erin, throughout, maintained her innocence, saying she never meant to harm anyone. By July 2025, after weeks of testimony, the jury reached its verdict: guilty on all charges. Erin showed no emotion, and just like that, Australia's most chilling lunch became a historic conviction, but questions still linger. If this was truly a murder plot, Could years of family conflict over school fees, child support, or bitter words really justify the loss of 3 lives? But if it was just an accident, how do we explain all the chilling details? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you won't miss the next case that will leave you questioning everything.